Okay.
We will call the meeting of the Freeman School Board to order. First, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda is roll call.
Emily?
Yes.
Cody?
Yep.
Doug?
Yes.
Marissa?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I know we've had,
Yeah, we
Some
had
amendments.
an amendment to the agenda, if you look on item 4, under new business, or unfinished business, yeah, new business, sorry. We will strike that, we need to discuss, Emily and I will be, meeting with Debbie over the course of the next week here, talking about the budget, the 2022-2023 budget, and then we need to set a date for the board to get together for a special board meeting to, discuss the budget.
what does Monday, September 26th look like for everybody in the evening? It should be fairly short because that will be our only agenda item. You're good?
Rosh Hashanah or something, is that name, I should be available.
Okay.
Skip things, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Works for me.
Okay, sounds good. So we'll plan September 26th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Great. And I've also had a request to add executive session for the reason of South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 parentheses 1 as well. So that will be added to the end of the agenda. All right, I will then require a motion to approve the amended agenda. Do I have a motion?
So,
Motion by Carissa, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, conflict of interest disclosures, I've received none.
I received none as well.
Next item on the agenda, public input.
There were none.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Will require a motion to approve the following: minutes of the regularly scheduled school board meeting of August 10th, 2022. Minutes of the special school board meeting of August 22nd, 2022. Minutes of the Cornwall Cooperative Board of Advisors meeting of August 9th, 2022. The hiring of Ivana Rodriguez for the position of paraprofessional. The hiring of Amber Seiler for the position of head girls softball coach. The hiring of Amy Sorensen for the position of head track coach. The hiring of Jim Thorson for the position of junior high boys basketball coach. The hiring of Greg Euchre for the position of assistant cross country coach. Financial reports and claims for August. Do I have a motion? Motion by Cody Franzen. Do I have a second?
second.
Second by Carissa. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, administrative reports, elementary principal.
I think the report in front of you there, fairly short. We have our first Flyer Friday on this Friday, the 16th. We're gonna run our Flyer Friday similar to last year, except for we ran a bus route in the morning, and then we ran a bus route at noon, and then we ran a bus route at the end, and it's really just a nightmare trying to figure all that out, and then people changing. So we're gonna run a bus route in the morning and a bus route at the end, and then we're gonna have some activities in the gym, and then when Sonia's gonna be gone that day, and hopefully maybe some music activities then too, so they're not just sitting there waiting to go home. In the afternoon then for PD for the staff, South Dakota Stars is a website that contains all the test scores and a number of different things. It's a software or website that we haven't really utilized here in Freeman. So we have a lady coming in to do training with the staff on the South Dakota Stars. We had the Title I nights, which is required to have Title I nights by the state. We had it in town on 8:30, and then we had the Wolf Creek and Cheddar out last Friday out there. And then stuff should have went out today on the school store program. That is the only fundraiser that we do at the elementary. I don't like having elementary kids going door to door. This is just a program where I'm sure you're familiar with it. We've done it. We do get the teachers get quite a bit of with stuff for their classrooms for it, so, it's basically people that shop online sign up and we get credit for it, so.
Sounds great. Yes, I know, I was already pressured into completing it as soon as Noel got out. Made sure that I got it done.
I'm sure. Look at the number of packages that are coming to houses anymore.
I know, that's good, it's a good deal. All right, next item on the agenda, high school principal administrative report.
All right, so we had some really good things happen. The Schulte Subaru scholarships, we had 3 students get those. Lily Witt, $2,500, Ava Ammon, $1,000, and Olivia Lemmy, $1,000. There were like 45 applicants for that, and 3 of the Freeman kids got them, so I thought that was pretty incredible. They were only going to give away one $2,500 for college, the rest was for tech, but they had most people who are going to college apply, and so they decided to give a little bit more money. Those students were invited to a dinner, so that was in the paper, so that was really pretty cool to see. Character on track, we teachers vote for that on the high school end, and our 3 character on track students, so students who are showing good character, have to be a senior, will be Chris Flores, Brooklyn Mendel, and Kate Miller. Homecoming court, the seniors decided on that today. So our king candidates will be Jaden Jacobson, Jonathan Law, and Zach Seiler. And then our queen candidates will be Brooklyn Mendel, Kate Miller, and Aaron Euchre. And then our MCs will be Evan Scharberg and Ava Anderson. So that will start, homecoming events will be next week, so you'll see those at the bottom there. Some things that we're doing in the school, our internships. We have quite a few students who are doing internships. We have several local businesses who are helping us out with that, the hospital being a really big one for us. But we have several other small businesses, and some of our students really took to that, and they've kind of gone out and secured their own internship too, so that's been really good. We have some welders, some electricians, auto body, and then the hospital. We also are working with the hospital to do the youth apprenticeship program for CNAs. So in order to code a class as a youth apprenticeship, you have to have a certified apprenticeship through the state of South Dakota. So the CNA program is that for us. They are working with Lake Area Tech, funneling a grant through there. So once the students go there, they can do that apprenticeship for 1 year. Throughout that apprenticeship, they'll learn to be a CNA, and then they actually work as a CNA, and then that counts toward that apprenticeship. If they complete that 1 year apprenticeship program, they will receive automatically a $500 scholarship to use as needed through Freeman Regional. So that will be a cash $500, and they can use it however they want. So if they decide that that's not what they want to do, and they want to do something else, or they want to spend it on dual credits, whatever they need, they can spend that to further their education somehow. So that's pretty exciting. We did add, just for people that are questioning or what it is, we did add SSR to our schedule. That's 20 minutes that we built into our schedule on the high school side per day for sustained silent reading time. So I think that's one of the things that we know that reading is important and that it helps students learn, and so, but we can't ensure that they're doing that once they leave our building. So this is just a way to say, put everything away and just read. And so we've had a good response with students on that as well. Magazine, newspaper, book, whatever they're comfortable reading, we just want them to read. We did take the senior photos for the gym posters, and those will be up soon, so thanks to the Army National Guard for sponsoring those once again for our seniors. Oh, I just forgot this in my office too. Christy, do you mind running to my office and grabbing that really bright colored t-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to notice at marching next week that our band students will not be wearing the traditional uniform. So here's kind of the issue with that. We have 83 band students, which is fantastic. We have 85 uniforms, which sounds great, but we have a lot of teeny tiny little band students, and a lot of, those sizes, 85, don't fit them. Like, we have a lot of really big uniforms in there, and so we just don't have the right sizes for the right students. So what we are going to do, or what we have done, is we purchased these t-shirts, looks like this. They will be wearing these, and normally when it's a Disney year, so they're taking that Disney trip this summer, they normally get a t-shirt for Disney anyway, so these will be their Disney shirts. So they'll wear this to March, they'll hand it back in, and then when they go to Disney they will wear this as well. So it's kind of double, but that's the reason why they're not in uniform. We will work on figuring out sizing and getting some ordered for next year, but we didn't think, I mean, that band just kind of like boomed and we didn't know sizes and stuff, and so that's kind of why we are where we are with that. The other thing, I know some of you probably are aware of this and you maybe saw this week on the Freeman Courier, and that is that while our band was marching, we did have a car go by them. That was, the students came back with some safety concerns on that. We did contact, that was a safety concern for us and a matter of public safety, so we did contact Officer Brewer on that one. And he handled that situation, and then we just asked the courier to put that out there so people were aware of what the protocol is, and the marching band is, they can march down the road, and they are just like a moving vehicle, so they should not be being passed. So just an FYI on that, we do have that incident on video, so if you're questioning it or you wanna see it, we do have that on video, okay? We do have a really good sub list this year. We're waiting on several fingerprints to book them. So right now we seem a little bit short, but we do have quite a few on hand. They kind of came out of the woodwork this year, so that's a good thing. We're just waiting for those fingerprints to come back. Homecoming events are below, just for next week, because that's gonna be a pretty busy week. Blood drive on Wednesday, September 28th, so if anybody wants to join on that, that'll be getting set up. Our seniors, we have 2 seniors working on that right now. And then our band will be marching in the Marion Homecoming Parade on September 30th. That parade's at 11:30 in Marion. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, superintendent administrative report.
Our FFA food science national trip is, the plans are coming nicely for that. We got tickets booked, we got a hotel booked, and we got a rental car booked. So things are starting to fall in place for that trip coming up here at the end of October. Administrative goals is something that I've mentioned to the board. Those have been collected, submitted by the principals, and then I have submitted my administrative goals as well for the year. Something that we decided to do new this year, and the last meeting, the board decided that the policy review committee would be a good place for those goals to go. So the policy review committee has reviewed the administrative goals. If any board members would like to look at those goals, feel free to set up a time individually with me, and I can present those to you. Debbie is in the process of creating her goals as well, so we'll have those within the next week as well. So everybody that you see here is going to have goals set for this school year. We had a FCDC meeting tonight. Typically that's the first Monday, so that made for kind of a long evening having it tonight as well. But we are planning an exciting event in collaboration with the school district and FCDC to have kind of a grand opening, taking the feel for our downtown. So on our homecoming date of September 23rd that Katie had mentioned for the parade at 11:30, what we're planning is that the parade would come up to the midway through downtown. They would have a ribbon stretched across the street, do a short little ceremony, very short ceremony, do the ribbon cutting, and then progress with the parade. And then some of the other things that they have planned, we're still working on trying to find an MC for the parade, so if you know of anybody that may have interest in that, please let me know. The library also has their typical fundraiser that goes on that date as well, and then downtown businesses will be open for after the parade as well. So we figured that was kind of a nice way to showcase our new downtown as well, since we have so many people that come to our homecoming parade. And then as Katie mentioned, I believe Katie mentioned that the football game will follow at 2:30, and that has been different. It's been listed as 2 o'clock in some different locations, so I want to stress that the game starts at 2:30 on the 23rd. That's all I have.
Okay, great. Next on the agenda, unfinished business. The school board will discuss the addition of a weight training coach. I know this was something that we opted to bring back this month to get more information. I know one thing I had asked was to review the dollars that we're currently spending for supervision of the weight room. and compare that to what you're thinking of offering for a salary should we decide to add that position.
So I asked Debbie to put those numbers together on how much we paid last year for the weight room supervision, and then that number came out just over $3,000, I believe it was $3,022, my memory serves me correct. But 3,000, very small change, for that position that we paid out for either $15 or $20 for the individuals that worked the morning session. Those were strictly supervisory positions. They were there to supervise and make sure that the kids stayed safe. We did eventually progress into a little bit more instructional type of stuff and organizational type of stuff as the year went on. But the vision that Christy and I have talked about, if the board decides to go the direction of having a strength and conditioning coach, would be that they would be taking full control of this, and they would be developing a curriculum, so to speak, a weight training program for our students to use up in the weight room, as well as, the sky's the limit for it. In the future, it'd be nice to have some speed and agility type of stuff that the kids are working on, so they're not just doing strength training, there's also a cardio component to it as well. So with that, something that we had discussed, a number that was thrown out last board meeting was the head coaching stipend of the $4,010, I believe is head coaching's make right now, $4,010. What could be an appropriate number. I did attend the Booster Club meeting this past week and talked to our Booster Club, and they said that they would be interested in discussing more. They didn't commit to anything, but they'd be interested in discussing more, some things that we could do to cover those summer months. So if we had a head coaching stipend to cover the 9 months out of the school year, an option could be that the Booster Club would fund the summer months, or that there's a combination of Booster Club funds, and then student athletes would pick up the rest for whatever we decide.
Like what we do
those
for
summer
Coach
months.
Rosie anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's what happened last year. The struggles with the Booster Club right now is that they just don't know what their fund balance is gonna be at the end of the year, so it's hard for them to commit at this point in time. But they are interested in discussing it further.
Thoughts, discussion?
With the addition of the strength coach, would we still be offering that position for the volunteers to open up the gym in the mornings on his off days with compensation then?
No, that would be the sole compensation that we would have for the weight room. I was very pleased with our coaching staff, our head coaches said that if we had this position, because they see so much value in this, that's just one more thing that's just taken off their plate, because we haven't increased coaches' salaries for a few years here. That taking that one thing off their plate, they would feel that would be something that they would go up and develop a rotation to where head coaches, maybe I imagine some assistant coaches would want to be part of it too, just to check in with the athletes, be that motivational factor, making sure that we're helping the kids to be accountable to putting in that time that's necessary.
We did raise salaries on the coaches last year.
I'm not sure we did. Did not. For this year?
Yeah, for the year before.
Okay.
Oh. Not last year. I've reached out to quite a few of the coaches, and it seems like they're all very interested and would very much so support something like that to try and continue to grow the sports program and offer some more to kids who want to do more, but maybe don't have the, instruction and things like that, so. It certainly seems, from the conversations I've had, and maybe Christy, you can even add more, it sure seems like a lot of the coaches are really in support of doing something like this.
Yes, I think so, and they see the benefit in that, and I think there's a pretty high expectation for our programs and our teams, and this is something to supplement them as well and help all of those athletes. And I think there's a lot of kids that their families spend money for them to go do extra things somewhere else, and that's great, but this would be a chance to offer something for all students and those that's not affordable for them per se.
Right.
But yeah,
Is there a certain
Yeah.
level of qualification that you're looking for as far as
You
you
know,
do posting?
I looked at that a little bit and I thought, through the National Federation High School courses that all of our coaches are required to take through the Activity Association, I think those courses, and then in addition, there are some strength and conditioning on there as well. So I think that would suffice for that, for what we would ask for from an applicant.
This would be a classified staff position, so all our classified positions every year, the board would determine if we wanna continue to move forward with it.
Well, just,
Carry it through next year.
Okay.
my perception is it might be hard to find somebody to fill the spot, just because of the hours
Right.
and the early ones in the weight room, and who would be giving the direction, because if we had somebody interested that actually their schedule would allow this, are they gonna be operating on a program put forth by you or the coaches as a collective?
I think the coaches as a collective and me as well, but, right, I think it would have to be that, working with the coaches on what's needed.
Mhm.
I would imagine Christine, feel free to weigh in on this, but if we posted and we didn't have any interest, we would probably just continue to carry on what we've been doing for
Right.
Yeah.
the past year.
I agree with you, Doug, that it might be hard to find somebody to fill that, given the hours, but, I mean, that doesn't mean that we can't try. We really don't know unless we put it out there.
It's hard to posting it, I just, if we find somebody that's willing to do it that maybe isn't what you would deem qualified, knowing that there's gonna be a system there in place to give them the tools to do what they need
Right,
to do.
yes, I believe so.
Okay.
And I feel like
What you're saying now.
right, yeah, this would help, and then, there would have to be a little bit of flexibility on how we can work that out with the schedule, and, right, that's not, in stone right now, and, right, to kind of figure things out.
This would be 5 days a week, or just 4 days a week, like
Well,
with the weight rooms? now?
Right now, it's 3. There's other days so the football team is up there,
Right.
and other days as well, but, that's how I envision that it would be those 3 days of supervision and instruction. Because that's what we offer to our middle school kids, that time for them to get that instruction and supervision.
This would be an extra $1,000 for something that's going to actually do a program on.
And I would, there would be more
Yeah.
too, right? There would be some in addition to that.
I don't see any harm in posting it, just to see
Right.
what interest we get.
I would agree with that.
I agree.
We can always decide to make a hire or not make a hire, but I don't think
Yeah, it's
keep
less than
hiring and see what's out
$1,000.
there.
Does everybody feel comfortable going through and making a motion to add that as a position at this point? Or is this something that you want to think over more and add to next month's agenda? I feel comfortable moving forward, just speaking for myself.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
I'm comfortable posting it.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
All right, then I will require a motion to add the position of a weight training coach for the stipend of the head coach of $4,010. Do I have a motion?
So,
Motion by Doug?
Cody.
Cody? Motion by Cody? Franzen? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda will require a motion to accept the submission of the 2021-2022 annual financial report.
A copy of that, Debbie will be submitting, is in your board packet.
Okay.
I'll make that motion to accept.
Motion by Cody, do I have a second? Second by Cody Spangler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda will require a motion to appoint the superintendent as the hearing official for free and reduced lunch applications. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda. The school board will hear a report from the Facilities and Grounds Committee board members.
Not a lot to report this week. We did a couple schedule hiccups and the rest of it just because of concrete, we couldn't get in concrete last week because of allocations, but they did pour the floor in there today, so. Last couple days, but nothing that's gonna affect the long-term schedule of some. We'll start framing later this week and copper panels when the cop shows up and keep moving.
How things progress with that. Outside of what Doug presented, I have reached out to SPN for the handicap accessible push button doors. And then also for the SPN portion of it, since we are in a position where we don't necessarily want, not even necessarily, where we don't wanna tear out a walkway that's been recently done and has in-ground heating to it, what our options could be if we could reroute that ramp to make it handicap accessible, and then we can have our handicap accessible ramp, and then have the ramp for all of our other spectators to enter. So I did connect with Jeff. He was gonna put together some ideas for us and, what some possibilities were for us. I haven't heard back from him yet on what that would be, but that would put us, in full 88 compliance. Cody, anything that you had?
All right, great, thank you. Next item on the agenda will require a motion to approve tax levy requests for 2023.
This is also included in the board packet. That's the resolution number on the 2022-2023. This is what Debbie put together. Feel free to speak to this, Debbie, but.
It's the
she'll
tax
speak.
levy because that's under the account, is the collect property taxes. It's the maximum for the general fund, with the opt-out of $250,000, that's our permanent opt-out. Special fund has a maximum, the capital outlay has to be a dollar amount, pretty much set by the state. It's $3,544 per student plus our debt, and then bond redemption, which I have a debt schedule for that, I just take what I need. Pretty straightforward.
Sounds great. Any further discussion? Or questions? If not, I will take a motion to approve the tax levy request for 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda will require a motion to approve Schoenfish and Company Incorporated to conduct the 2023 audit. They do that for us every year, correct? Yeah.
They work with Debbie to get that scheduled.
Yep, perfect. Do I have a motion?
So,
Motion by Cody Franson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Carissa. All in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda will require a motion to move the regularly scheduled monthly Freeman School Board meeting scheduled for Monday, October 10th, 2022 at 7 p.m. to an alternate date. That is Columbus Day, so
And Native American Day.
yes, Indigenous Peoples' Day. Do we want to just move it to that following Monday on the 17th?
Is there any folks working with us?
That's a great idea.
Last year we shifted it to a Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too. It's sometimes hard because it's a church night, but I'm fine with that.
October 17th, we have volleyball on the road.
What's the 12th? Should be
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Region cross country at Burke at 1 o'clock, so that wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah, the 11th, we have volleyball here on Tuesday, the 11th.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out of town on October 12th. I thought I might be that day. Forgot about that.
We have confirmation too,
Okay.
usually, but I can see it if I want to. then?
Anybody greatly opposed to the 17th?
Where's volleyball?
At Fiverr.
About the 19th?
Yeah, that's fine for me.
Yeah, it's fine.
Wednesday?
Should we have anything? Okay, October 19th it is. And keep it at 7 PM? Are you okay with
I
that?
might have a problem with bills being paid late. Is that true?
Can you do a Zoom meeting and just pay the bills?
How many businesses are, does that affect?
We had credit cards.
And I think last time that was an issue as well. And then I had to call and ask for a waiver, and I think everything, the late fee got waived, correct?
Yeah, are you willing to do that again?
Sure. Maybe we'll be proactive, and do it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit more friendly about it.
Okay, that sounds great.
So
I'm
we're
gonna
sticking
that.
with the 19th?
Yes,
Okay.
19th. If it ends up being an issue, let us know to get the waiver, we can always readdress, but. Okay, so I'll require a motion to move the regular monthly Freeman School Board meeting scheduled for Monday, October 10th, 2022 at 7 PM to Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 at 7 PM. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cody Franzen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. School board will perform the first reading of the following policies. Section G, description, personnel goals, general reference policy, equal opportunity employment, veterans preference, staff ethics, staff conflict of interest, staff conduct, freedom of expression, search and seizure, employee use of networking sites, staff health and safety, employee communicable diseases, guidelines, regulations, and use of alcohol, drugs, and controlled substances.
Before I turn it over to Chris and Cody here, in your packet, you have the first staple piece would be our current policy, and then that's got the highlights that you see on that. That would be any changes from our current policy with the current recommended ASBSD policy.
Okay.
And then behind that would be the additional policies that you see on the agenda that are in red. Those are policies that are now recommended by the ASBSD, and we do not have them adopted as our district policy. So that would be the second handout, would be those new and additional policies.
Sounds good. I don't have any questions or comments. Did you want to give us
Yeah.
any
you got it all
particular
right
updates?
there. The first one, we didn't have any changes. If it's highlighted, that was just because it said like, it didn't say the in front of it, I think, right?
One of them had, it said this instead of a lot of the first few for our district policy just had, the model policy didn't have, obviously have Freeman in it, just had the school board, so
Okay.
that was the only change for those. And really the biggest changes, a couple of minor typos, like you see on the veterans preference one, that
Mhm.
a couple spaces or hyphens. Couple changes in the legal references for just overtime, what they're recommending. And really the staff ethics had a couple, just, I guess it was one typo. And then you get to the last two, I believe. were the ones that had the highest amount of changes, with an exception of like, that now they're recommending cross-references, so they've always had the legal references, the federal references, now they're recommending cross-references, just so we can be even more thorough. But I would say that the talking points, you get to, as you can see on the employee communicable disease one, there's highlights all over the place. That one was very different than the use of alcohol and drugs and controlled substances. A lot of differences there too, mainly stemming off of the medical marijuana stuff that we went through last year.
So the first three didn't have any major changes. The veterans one, did you talk about the application?
Yeah, whether a veteran would be given preference automatically just by disclaiming they were a veteran, or if they'd have to have a separate thing on the application, I think as we do now, to have to request to have a veteran's preference.
Yep, that's something we still have to make that change to the recommendation that you made. We'll get that adjusted on our application as well.
Right, that was the only thing I recall.
Next few, no issues. And then communicable diseases. So that second paragraph, rather than say infected, but we might not know yet that they're infected, so we should say employee who is or may be affected with the disease. You know, we need to check that further before we can actually just assume. And then the middle top, we can request those things from the health department or the employee or their supervisor in regards to if they have a disease or not. And then the next one, just adding Center for Disease Control. I don't remember on the bottom, Jake, the new paragraph.
Yeah, that was a whole new paragraph that they have recommended, and too much for me to handwrite in.
Right.
So if you wanted to see what that paragraph is, you could log into the ASBSD website and click on the policies and be able to find what that, I think it's actually 2 paragraphs that they, my memory serves me correct, that they have implemented there.
That went back to, the previous paragraph stated that school employees would have, could or could be made informed if they have regular contact with an infected person. I thought the new paragraph stated that students, faculty, and otherwise would be given that same.
Anyone that could have been affected,
Yeah.
not just faculty.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. That's great, I don't have any additional questions. Any comments or questions from anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to appoint a board member as the district's official delegate for the annual delegate assembly. Jake, can you remind me when that is? It's in November. I can't remember the date.
Give me 1 second here.
And it's in Pier. If anyone has a deep interest in going to Pier, South Dakota in November.
Well, it depends if the Christmas trees are up yet or not.
Right.
November 22nd.
They probably will
They
be,
would,
Carissa.
they would be.
Yes.
I bet Cody would like to see that for the first time. Oh, dang it.
Does anyone have a particular interest? Otherwise, I am happy to.
I can do it, Emily, I gotta be in Pier just about every week in November.
Okay.
Office up there, so.
That would be great.
Isn't it?
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. All right, we'll appoint Doug McCune as the district's official delegate for the annual delegate assembly, November 22nd, 2022, here. All right, next on the agenda, the school board will discuss increasing the school district's mileage reimbursement rate to the state rate of 51 cents per mile. Employee drives a personal vehicle only when a school district vehicle is unavailable. Any questions or comments?
State rate.
Yeah, state rate. Yeah, they just upped it, given the price of gas, I think it's reasonable.
Had Mitchell superintendent meeting last week, I think, yeah, last Wednesday, and I asked that question to the group, there's about 20 superintendents there, and well over half that are planning on going to the recommended rate.
One of the things I did, Jake, on the consent calendar in July, we set it as a dollar amount, 42 cents. I always just said, we'll adopt the state rate, so when this
Oh.
happens, you don't have to go back and make a motion.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I does too.
Okay.
Change that for the future.
It's the July meeting.
Right.
All right. Sounds great. So we will require a motion to adopt the state mileage reimbursement rate, 51 cents a mile. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cody Franzen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Carissa. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Who was the first one?
Motion
Aye.
carries. Cody Franzen. Next item on the agenda will require a motion to declare technology items as surplus with no value.
I'm gonna turn this one over to Seth. Seth has a list of items, I think he handed to you earlier.
Yep, I gave you an updated list, it's the same as the one in the packet, I just forgot to put those older staff laptops. So the last 12 or so on the bottom of that page on the backside are all the staff laptops, we just replaced this past fall here, this summer. Yeah, so other than the laptops on there, there's a few all-in-one desktops, a couple of those are lunch line computers that are kind of been bounced around a little bit, and they're past their usefulness. A couple, 3 or 4 more smart boards and projectors that I pulled down. And then a bunch of the all-in-one systems that work at Christie's, we kind of whittled down those a little bit. We got a few of those that are past their useful life to us, but getting used either by somebody in the community or we have a recycler that takes them and end up refurbishing them and selling them and reselling them to people that could use them.
Okay.
And then I've got 3 of our oldest active panels, those 2 over there in the corner behind you. And then there's one that came out of Lance's room, we replaced the oldest of those. And we've been talking a little bit with the museum that they're interested in taking those and put in the museum, a couple of them at least for some of their displays there.
Oh, great.
Revamping there, so
Perfect.
Tim Walter's been talking to us a bit, and we were planning on probably sending those out if we get the surplus of them.
Counties are all right with some of this stuff, do they have some of this?
So there's still, those are the very first year I bought those, I'm gonna say that was either 5 or 6 years ago, without looking off the top of my head. I got 8 of those. There's still one in the elementary library. There's a couple out in the colonies that I'll end up probably replacing next year. I got 12 boards this year, and I was 50 grand, so I was kinda tapped out on how many I could get this year. Plus they were running them, and I had to get the bigger ones instead, because they ran out of the 75 inches that I was putting in, so. We'll have probably 4 more of those next fall that I'll replace the ones out in the colonies. They all have them, and they're still functional, they're just getting to the point where you gotta, they're not responding quite as quickly, and you have a few more problems with them, they're not in warranty anymore, so if something breaks, or, so we like to try to keep the stuff that we have in warranty.
Any further discussion? If not, I will require a motion to declare technology items as surplus with no value. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Carissa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, I will require a motion to enter executive session for the reason of South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2 (1). Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Cody Franzen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Doug. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion. In executive session at 7:50.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you.